What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Review for Trigun Stampede. This is episode 10, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Here we are. We're pretty much already close to the end of the I guess you could say the end of the season. I think it's
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much getting to the final confrontation, I guess, with Vash and Knives.
yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're setting up for the climax.
And of course, we get a lot more with this doctor character. I think his name is Bill Conrad. So Marilyn and Roberto have this conversation with this doctor who explains that apparently he's trying to save humanity by modifying humans to be better, pretty much be able to better adapt the harsh conditions of the planet they're on. But of course,
don't they also want the plants to like completely replace humans or something?
I guess that's Knives' goal in a way, but I think Conrad wants to do something different, which is to improve humanity's like physical form, just to, I guess, in a way, just to transcend humanity in a way. But as we know, that his previous experiments have more or less ended in failure. With, I don't know about Wolfwood, but I guess you could say he's more or less there, I guess. But he's more of like an enhanced human who's been artificially aged, I guess. But
yeah.
Of course, we also see like another one of the doctor's experiments, who's supposedly like a plant-human hybrid named Elandria, and all of
it was that girl that we saw before, I guess. It looked like her.
Yeah, and of course they also have they also continue the conversation about what was it? It was I forgot that woman's name. It was Ludia.
Zazzy the Beast?
Ludia. If you remember, she showed in the last episode, she showed Marilyn and Roberto this huge green room containing like a whole huge field of flowers, and she wants to terraform no man's land. Of course, Bill Conrad, of course, agrees that that something like that should happen, but he points out that something like that would take years or maybe centuries for that to happen. So that's why he went the route of, like, I guess in a way, just wanting to go through with his experimentations of improving humanity in ways.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I still have the same issues with this series. Like, it hasn't really gotten any better. Like, in this episode, I feel like it gets worse with them just trying to. And again, it just feels like they're kind of rushing through things. I mean, I said before it felt really fast paced, but at this point, it definitely feels like they're really like rushing to get to the conclusion of the series, I guess.
Yeah, and of course, in the middle of that conversation, that they're interrupted by Elandria, who of course breaks out of her tank, and then all of a sudden she just attacks both Meryl and Roberto, and she pretty much chases them around the entire facility until Vash and Wolfwood finally arrive. Well, actually, before this, we see Vash and Wolfwood arrive in July, and of course Vash gets himself into trouble with the guards or the cops patrolling the area, and then all of a sudden Vash
he gets spotted by that guy that was after him in the beginning of the series.
Yeah, and of course Vash, he ends up deliberately taking a bullet in the chest, and what
he kind of shrugs it off too. Like, he takes a bullet and then he's like, he basically tells Wolfwood, like, hey, let's just leave. Like, he doesn't really have much of a reaction.
Yeah, and I
mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, he's not technically human, but
yeah,
I don't know.
But we see like the extent of like all the stuff that Vash has went through physically. I mean, you can see like, I don't know, like how he got all those scars, or like that different kind of patchwork that he's got, or whoever gave that kind of patchwork. I mean, I can understand the arm, but it's just like his entire body's just
Well,
completely covered in.
hasn't he been alive for like hundreds of years at this point? Like he's 150 some years, I think.
Yeah, it's just
He's been alive.
yeah, but I'm just curious of like about all those different injuries like all around his like his entire torso area is just completely uh filled with like whatever it is, like machinery or cybernetics. I don't know what he's gone through. I
Yeah.
mean, I really wish they could have elaborated more on that, but that's all we got. Um,
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm assuming that all just happened off screen. We're just supposed to guess as to what happened.
yeah. So, like I said, eventually Vash and Wolfwood uh, arrive to save both Meryl and Roberto. Um, of course, like both Meryl and Roberto make it to the elevator out, but unfortunately, Roberto gets a nail stuck in his abdomen, and he pretty much tells Meryl to, I guess, he pretty much he entrusts his signature gun to Meryl before dying, and then Meryl decides to, instead of escaping the facility, she decides to go back up to, I guess, confront Knives as well.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I don't really care that. I mean, honestly, like Roberto, he there wasn't really much with his character. He died. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised he died, but he's just he's just not really a good replacement for Millie Thompson from the original series, in my opinion. He just didn't really he didn't do too much except for just kind of was in the background drinking and offering his opinions on things sometimes, I guess.
I mean, most I mean
I
most
guess
of
you
his
could,
opinions
yeah.
are valid from time to time. I mean,
Well, yeah, but I just don't know. I just felt like he was just there. Like he didn't really contribute too much. I mean, Meryl kind of did some things, but I guess you say the same about her too. Like she's just kind of, I don't know, she's just kind of tagging along basically. I mean, you could say that is also what she did in the original series, but I just felt like I don't know, there was just more to her as a character. Here, it's just, I don't know, both her and Roberto just kind of suffer from a lack, I would say, of any real significant character development, it seems. I don't know, I guess that's kind of like my issue with them.
yeah. And then soon afterwards, we suddenly get a scene with Wolfwood and Conrad. Supposedly, Wolfwood is getting payment for Conrad for bringing Vash over to the facility. And now that his mission is complete, I guess Wolfwood is supposedly he wants to part ways, but I feel like he's gonna end up helping Vash in the end.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess they were trying to say he was gonna just like betray them again or something, but yeah, I mean, you're probably right.
Yeah. And of course, the end of this episode, we finally see Vash confront Knives, pretty much going about their usual stuff about like humanity as a whole. With Knives saying like humanity is terrible, that they're a threat to the plant life or to our kind, and so on and so forth. And then of course Vash of course explains to Knives that humans aren't too bad, yada yada yada. I mean, this is the same usual stuff. Of
Yeah.
course not before Knives decides to activate a trap door, apparently just dumping into this. I don't know what he fell into. I guess like Knives wants to turn Vash into, I guess, remaking him into this perfect independent being of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I just have really mixed feelings about the series. The episode just didn't really. Honestly, I'm just kind of at this point, I've sort of completely checked out of what's happening in the series. I mean, I just don't really. I don't really care about like whatever Knives is doing, and I don't know, and I feel like a lot of that is just because it's really just it really has just rushed through everything, and there's not really been any moment where it kind of like really slowed down and tried to tried to sort of like develop any of these characters or just kind of set things up properly. It's just kind of been from one place to another, and things have just happened. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I I feel like, yeah, the original was probably too slow at times, but I feel like it was, for the most part, it felt like it was kind of to its benefit in a way. Because it felt like it could properly develop the characters and and set up the conflict, like the conflict with knives and I think it was the in the original was like the gung ho guns. Here they just it feels like they just have been throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you, essentially, with like all these different plot developments and stuff. Like we find out, oh, there's crazy human experimentation going on, and then, oh, okay, here's a flashback scene. I don't know, it's just like there's no time to breathe. It's just it has to keep going from one thing to another, I guess. And I don't know, it's felt really like it's like to the point where you don't really care about what you're watching, I guess. And that's kind of how I felt about what I've watched of this series so far. It I kind of thought of this comparison in my head, like, and maybe it's not the best comparison, but it'd be like if we had the original 2003 like Fullmetal Alchemist, like Brotherhood, like never happened, and then they decided to do like what they're doing with Trigun, where it's like, here's this we're coming back with this CG version of Fullmetal Alchemist, where we're going to like give, like, I guess, a Spark Notes version of the plot points that happened in Brotherhood, and just gloss over a lot of things and do it in like 13 episodes or something. Like, maybe that's not what they're doing with this, but it feels like that's what they're doing with this, I guess. I mean, I am not a manga reader, so I can't say for sure that's what they're doing, but as somebody who's just, I guess, an anime only watching this and who has at least seen the original, it really feels like that's what they're doing. Like, they're just kind of, maybe this is stuff that happened in the manga, but they're giving us like the like I said, like the Spark Notes version. Like, they're not really like elaborating on certain things, and there wasn't really enough proper build up to some of these events, or at least it kind of feels that way. I don't know, but that's just how it feels to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, the only plus side is the CG animation, just on how very well like, detailed it is. But it's just,
yeah, I think that looks fine. I mean, I do have some issues with character designs, but like and also like some of the I don't know, like this is another thing I was like a little bit confused about, like Wolfwood's nickname for Vash, where he calls him Needle Noggin. I think it's like in reference to his spiky hair, if I'm correct. Like, is it, he had spiky hair in the original, and it makes sense he would call him that. But here it doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, why are you referring to him as that when he doesn't look like that? I don't know. That kind of bothered me too.
I mean, unless it has, unless the Needle Noggin has a different meaning to it, being that being like, I guess, like, he's referring to Vash's pacifist nature of sorts, but
yeah, it could be that.
Maybe, but it's just my issue with this, like, is that there are numerous deviations with his characters. I have no problems with the character designs,
yeah,
but
it's mostly like how it's being presented, like I mean, how it's been presented, like the characters are being presented in comparison to how we know of them from the original series, and how it's kind of, it seems like it's definitely like rushing through certain, through the plot in a way.
Yeah, it's we're already at a breakneck pace with the show already. I mean, we're already at the the point where Vash and Knives are having this final confrontation, unless you can really call it a final confrontation. Unless they're making,
I think it probably.
Yeah, is. I mean, unless they're planning on making a second season that we probably won't know about until maybe in the next couple of weeks. But it's it's just I don't know. It's just weird that they decided to go, they go at a breakneck pace with the plot. The character, it's just like they made a major deviation with some of their character choices, with replacing Millie with Roberto. I mean, I wouldn't mind if, like, they they added Roberto instead of replacing Millie altogether. I mean, I really felt like, they could have had Millie in there, unless they had the reason, unless if it was like production reasons, or just maybe it's just storyline reason. I don't know what their explanation is. I just hope they kind of do later, maybe. But it's
yeah. I mean, it's just weird because they brought back like pretty much all the other original characters, but not her. So I don't really understand that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how the rest of the story plays out in the next couple of weeks. I think, like I said, I think we only have like 2 more episodes left, from what I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't really have too much else to say about the episode though. Again, like I don't really I don't really hate the series, but it's just I don't know. It's just like I said, very mixed feelings about it so far. I mean, it's possible it could still become, I don't know, do something interesting at the end, but I guess we'll see. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's like we're already at this point of the story, which like I was just really hoping that it wouldn't have gotten us to this point this soon. I mean, I was hoping this would have been a 2 core series, but considering that the amount of animation that they put in for this show, I mean, I don't blame them for wanting to, make it make it 12 episodes for that reason
Yeah.
alone. But it's just I don't know. Maybe I really wish more could have been done with the show. I know, maybe in a way, but it's just we'll have to see where it heads. Maybe in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, that guys, that all being said, I guess until next time, we will see you all later.